Good evening, everybody. How are you? Welcome to the Midwest Theater, and that we're back. It's showtime. Who's ready for shows? So I want to start here real quick. The general rule of thumb is, we got to turn our phones off. But Jeff, if you can turn up the house lights for me, I want to take a crowd selfie just to celebrate the momentous occasion of having the crowd back in the theater. So thanks for participating with that photo. Anyway, Billy Estes, Executive Director. It feels so good to be back here at the theater tonight. We started off this week with our 75th anniversary on Monday. It's hard to believe that the Midwest has been entertaining crowds for 75 years, or really we could say 74 since we were closed for a year for COVID. But it's been really great this week to be here. Then Tuesday, we kicked off the day celebrating Wyobraska Gives, which was a great community fundraising campaign. The Midwest Theater ended the day at the leaderboard with raising a total of $59,900 plus. So what a great way to celebrate 75 years. Should also note tonight's performance is free, and we have some amazing sponsors in our community that have continued to support the theater over the last year, even though we've not been able to actively present live performing arts. So we have to give a big round of applause to the following companies: Platte Valley Companies, the Quibi Bay State Foundation, B&W, Hampton Inn and Suites, Dr. Tom and Larita Van Bosker, Shar Van Bosker, Scroptimus Scottsbluff County Chapter, Runza Restaurants, Sam and Louis Pizza, J.G. Elliott Insurance, KNEB and the Rural Radio Network, Nebraska Arts Councils, Humanity Nebraska, and the Nebraska Cultural Endowment. So give them a big round of support for helping support the theater. I also have to talk about my favorite movie right now because, you know, the theater's about movies and the arts. So if you haven't been paying attention to the award seasons here, shows here the last 6 weeks, Nomadland won Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress this last weekend, starring Frances McDormand and the Midwest Theater. So it's going to be here tomorrow night, 7:30, and Sunday at 1:30. If you haven't had a chance to see it, it really deserves to have an opportunity to be seen on the big screen. So we're bringing that back for an encore screening. And I got to give Frances a tour of the auditorium and talk to her the night that we filmed with her, and that was super cool. So come out and see Nomadland. And since I've seen you all in person the last time, we've also started the Midwest Skyview Drive-In out up by the airport. And so tonight is our first night open here and at the drive-in. So we're going to continue to kind of feel these growing pains here as we get the gear going back up. We have Wrath of Man out there tonight for the weekend, the new Jason Strathmore film. And then we have other film coming hopefully the rest of the summer. We'll be back here again next week on Friday night with a film called The Silent Natural. And that's a 6 o'clock showtime, free admission on that movie. And then coming out to the drive-in the end of May, another concert, not an in-person concert because we could never afford to bring Bon Jovi to Scotts Bluff, but you can see them on screen performing at the drive-in. So those tickets are starting to sell. So that's Saturday, May 22nd. And then there are more drive-in concerts coming for the summer, as well as maybe a couple of live concerts in the theater. So just stay connected with us on social media or on our email newsletter so you know what's coming up as we gear up our programming again. But the real reason that we're here tonight is to celebrate April Verch. I think I can say my dear friend that I've known here for 11 years, we were discussing here earlier today. She performed back here April 1st of 2010. And I'm happy to say tonight, we get to share the stage tonight with this being our first performance and then her first performance back after COVID. And her and Cody Walters, her lovely husband, made the drive up here from North Carolina to come up and perform for you guys tonight. And you're in for a treat. And if I could dance half as fast as her, I might be able to get to North Carolina before she could drive there. So without further ado, April Verch and Cody Walters. And thank you so much for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Billy. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We are so pleased to be here. Thank you to Billy and the rest of the team for inviting us to be with you tonight. I don't know about Billy's dancing. I've never seen him dance, but I will tell you that I just strung up an old fiddle that he had at home with fresh strings. So if you hear any noises coming from the theater when you're walking by, he might be practicing his fiddle. So this is Cody Walters on guitar and banjo. And I'm April Verch. How many of you have seen us perform before? Maybe last time we were through. All right. Thanks for giving us another chance. We're one member short. We're usually a trio, and just logistics and economics and COVID mean that we're here for our very first live duo show. So I hope you're prepared. I hope we're prepared. And we thank you in advance for your patience and enthusiasm. We're going to start off with an old tune that we love to play, one called Shipping Port. Thank you. Wow, it's a long time since we've heard applause. We've been really fortunate to be able to do some live streams from our living room over the pandemic, but it's really different playing to a screen, and it's always awkward when you finish because it's just complete silence. And then you're like still kept trying to catch your breath or figuring out what's happening next, and it's just the two of you staring at each other.
You all sound much better than the refrigerator motor.
Well said. Yeah, so I didn't mean to make it sound like we are a permanent duo. It's just while things are getting back into the swing of things, our third member lives in Boston, and he actually is just finishing up his degree at Berklee College of Music, and last night was his final recital. So we're really excited for him. Corey Brodsky is his name, and you'll be hearing great things from him. He's a really talented musician. Cody grew up in Onega, Kansas, and I grew up in Pembroke, Ontario, in a little region called the Ottawa Valley. And we started playing music together in 2007. So I started the April Verch Band in 2000. Cody joined in 2007. And then things got a little bit more serious, and we got married in 2018.
That's right.
And so we've shared a lot of miles and a lot of stages, and we love the same kind of music. We love old music from a few different traditions. And we'll give you a little sample of some of the stuff we like as the evening progresses. One of those things is sort of old classic country stuff. And this is a song that I grew up with in the Ottawa Valley. Everybody sang it, every event we went to. And it's from Lucille Starr, who was from Western Canada. And she had a hit record and sold 1 million copies. Had a gold record, but mostly based on this song. And she was also the first Canadian female to perform on the Grand Ole Opry. So she paved the way for a lot of folks. And it's called The French Song, which is a fitting title because it starts in French. And so if you don't speak French and you're wondering what's going on, don't fear. It repeats exactly in English the second time through. And it's not very long, don't worry. It's not one of those 20-minute ballads or anything like that. But it's near and dear to my heart, and we thought we'd give it a try for you. So here is Lucille Starr's The French Song. 1, 2, 1. Quand le soleil dit bonjour aux montagnes et que la nuit rencontre le jour, je suis seule avec mes rêves sur la montagne. Une voix me rappelle toujours. Écoute à ma porte les chansons du vent, me rappellent les souvenirs de toi. Quand le soleil dit bonjour au montagne, je suis seule, je ne veux penser qu'à toi. Now when the sun says good day to the mountain, and the night says hello to the dawn, I'm alone with my dreams on the hilltop. I can still hear his voice though he's gone. I hear from my door the love songs through the wind. It brings back sweet memories of you. Quand le soleil dit bonjour aux montagnes, je suis seule, je ne veux penser qu'à toi. Thank you. All right, got through the first song. Let me tell you, I don't know where Scott of Scott's Bluff hangs out, but if anyone could put in a request for the allergens in the air to go down a little bit. Oh man, I've been having a rough time, but I'm highly medicated now on allergy stuff, and seem to be holding that okay. But yeah, I got to the end there. It's like water.
Yes, you're not crying and snotting all over the place.
No, not at the moment. Poor Cody in the car yesterday. So we also want to give a shout out to everybody watching at home. We miss you, and thanks for tuning in. We're sorry you couldn't be with the 5,000 people in the theater here tonight.
That's right.
But maybe next time. We're going to switch over to a fiddle and banjo duet. And Cody is having a sigh of relief now because banjo is one of his main instruments. He started out playing bass in college. That was his first instrument. And that's what he's always played in this band. And then he picked up the banjo.
Today. Yeah.
And
then guitar.
Yeah, guitar last. And that's what our third member plays is guitar. But just fiddle and bass is a little bit sparse.
Yeah.
So he's being very brave. And I mean, if I hadn't told you, you would have thought guitar was his first instrument, right?
You all lie very well.
So we're going to play a medley of two tunes. The first, excuse me, is called The Midnight Serenade. See, there I go, opening my big mouth that I got through the first song.
You spoke too soon.
Yeah. The Midnight Serenade. And then the second tune is called Johnny Don't Get Drunk. And we like playing these tunes because a lot of different areas claim them. First of all, they both have several different titles. But some people say they're Appalachian tunes. Some people say they come from the Midwest. Ireland and England have both claimed versions as well. So nobody really knows, but they're good ones.
Yeah.
So we'll give them a go.
Boy, that one always makes me a little bit tired. We're gonna play another fiddle tune for you next, and this next one comes from the playing of a gentleman named Hiram Stamper. He was from Eastern Kentucky. He lived in the late 1800s, and he was widely thought of as to be the last person of that generation to play the really true Eastern Kentucky style of fiddle. And in that kind of style of fiddle, it was often unaccompanied. So it was just fiddle, no guitars or anything, which means the fiddle player could kind of go wherever he wanted to as far as...
A dream come true.
Hey, what are you saying?
No.
He could kind of go wherever he wanted to as far as like putting in extra notes, extra beats, extra parts, leaving something out. So these tunes from Eastern Kentucky are kind of strange.
And we really love them. The other thing that Hiram used to do, he used to tune his fiddle down, every string down one step, because he thought it sounded better in that key. And he had a really flat bridge. So most fiddle bridges sort of have an arch to them. But his bridge was quite a bit flatter, so he could play multiple strings at once. He could play at least two, but sometimes three, and that really gave it a rich, full sound, which was important when you were one fiddler playing for a large dance hall. And it's just part of the style. And so the reason we're both tuning a little bit extra right now, we're not doing what he did, going down a step, but we are playing a couple of tunes that we play in cross A. So on the fiddle, I'm in A-E, A-E, instead of the standard tuning, which would be G-D, A-E. So two strings are tuned up a step. And it's pretty common in old-time American traditions to tune to alternate tunings to get that special ringing sound. It also made it easier sometimes for the fiddlers to play. You can play up on the top two strings, and then you can play the same thing on the bottom two strings without changing anything. So you get two for the price of one. So I'll see if I can do that in this next one. So this is called the Horse and Buggy O. Speaking of horse and buggy O's, we stopped on our drive and saw the little cabin where Home on the Range was composed. And I was sort of picturing that in my head, how cool it would be if we had driven up on a covered wagon. Thank you.
I can hear the horses in that one.
I
Can you
know,
hear
me
that
too.
one?
The dump, dump, dump. That's the
Yeah.
clop, clomp, clomp in my head. I'm glad you were thinking that too.
Yeah, good.
So whenever we cross tune to these alternate tunings, the rule is you have to do more than one because it takes a minute to get there and settle in. So we're going to do another one. This is one that we learned during the pandemic. We have this great big book of tunes, and usually we learn tunes from field recordings and archives, but sometimes we just like to open the book and play a couple and see how they go. And that's how we found this one, and it's called Jawbone. And it's from a Missouri fiddler by the name of Gene Goforth. And he was born in 1921. So some of our friends actually had a chance to meet him and play with him. We weren't that lucky. But he was born in Shannon County, Missouri. And by the age of 8, he was playing for dances locally. And then he ended up being a heavy equipment operator and moved to St. Louis. But he kept playing fiddle, and he entertained and taught a lot of young people, and a lot of the displaced Ozarkers who were living in that area really appreciated his music, and so his tunes are widely known, but maybe not this one so much. So we consider it a gem.
Well, thank you. We're going to play and sing another one for you. This is one that comes from Canada. This is a tune written by a fellow named Bob King. And where April grew up, dances and like get-togethers at the community center were a big thing back then. They would all get together, and her dad had a country band, so she was always around this kind of older country music. And this is one that he used to sing. And we recorded a classic country album a couple years back. It was all from the 50s and 60s. And we recorded it in Nashville. And April flew her dad down to sing on this one.
Yeah, he sang on a couple. And we sang this one as a duet, which was really special. And we had a lot of fun putting that recording together. We used a lot of studio musicians that actually played on the original albums for the songs that we were recording. So they'd be sitting in the studio telling stories about, back in the day and what all the artists were like. And we promised that those stories would stay in the studio. But that was just as fun as making the music with all of those great musicians. And so my dad couldn't make it tonight, but Cody has agreed to do this one with me as a duet. And it's kind of a sweet little love song. I find a lot of the country songs to be sad, but this one's happy. It's called Let's Make a Fair Trade. Yeah?
Yep.
1, 2, oh. Let's make a fair trade, your heart for mine.
I'll trade you my heart any old time.
Here's a brand new heart offered to you.
Keep it forever, guaranteed true.
All the gold in this wide world would not interest me, as long as we could make a deal.
Me for you,
And you for me, I'll be your one till the end of my time. Let's make a fair trade, your heart for mine. All the gold in this wide world would not interest me, as long as we could make a deal. Me for you,
and you for me.
I'll be your one till the end of my time.
Let's make a fair trade,
Your heart for mine. All the songs back then were right about that length, 2.5, 3 minutes, made for radio. So I'm going to put my fiddle down and give you another taste of the Ottawa Valley step dance style. I grew up dancing. I started dancing first when I was 3. I have an older sister that was taking lessons, and I wanted to do everything that she was doing. And so I started lessons, and we started performing early on. And it's a style that is unique to the area. It originated in the lumber camps. So the grandfather of our style, his name was Donnie Gilchrist. And he actually grew up, was born in Quebec, the province next door. And he was a tap dancer first, but he always watched the lumberjacks when they came back dancing at night in the pub after they've had a little bit of water.
Yeah.
And they get to telling stories and having a good time. And so he's the first one to sort of put it all together. And we owe him a lot. He taught, a couple of proteges, and they've passed it along. And so I learned from Buster Brown, who learned from Donnie Gilchrist. And I'm just starting to work on a really cool dance project with a dancer from England. His name is Simon Harmer, and he's got someone in his life that was from the same era as Donnie Gilchrist and did an old style in England, and we're going to compare the dance styles. So I'm pretty excited about that. But one of the things that Donnie did really well was dance the tune. He could listen to a tune and just make up steps on the spot that really fit it. So it was like his feet were another instrument.
Yeah.
And so that's what I always think of when I'm dancing. So here's one called Katie Hill.
So are there any fans of John Hartford in the audience? Yes, a couple? Yeah. So John was an amazing musician. He's no longer with us, but I think his biggest hit was probably Gentle on My Mind. He's the guy who wrote that one. But he could do so many things. He could play guitar, he could play fiddle, he could play banjo, he could sing and dance and play those things all at the same time. He was kind of a one-man band. And just a really born entertainer. If you ever seen footage of him play in front of people, it was pretty magical.
Yeah, it's definitely worth checking out videos if you haven't seen him before. We find that whenever we talk about him, people come up after the show and tell us their own personal stories. There's so many. He touched so many lives. So here's a waltz that I wrote in his memory called A Riverboat's Gone. He was also a riverboat pilot, steamboat pilot. That was his other passion in life. So that's where that waltz got its name. I hope it sounds a little bit like being on the water. And then we're going to follow it up with a tune that we learned from him, his version of it, one called Bumblebee in a Jug. Thank you. I don't know. Let's do Limburger.
Yeah.
We have an either or on the set list at this point to see what we were in the mood for.
Choose your own adventure.
Yeah. This is a tune that that we learned from Lynn Chirps Smith, a wonderful fiddler. He lives in Wisconsin and documents a lot of tunes from Illinois, where he's from originally, I believe. If he's not from Illinois, he sure knows a lot of Illinois tunes. But I think that might be his old stomping
Somewhere
grounds.
around St. Louis.
Yeah. And he learned this tune from the playing of Charlie Folks. But I first met Chirps at a fiddle camp. He was there with his lovely wife, Dot, who is a dancer. She does great dancing herself. She also calls dances, so they're really fun to have at a fiddle camp. And he's put together all kinds of collections of old tunes just to make sure that they're not forgotten, and is such a great teacher. They're just wonderful people. So if you ever get a chance to connect with Chirps and Dot, make sure you take it and tell them we said hey.
And when I grow up, I'd like to have a nickname as cool as Chirps.
Well, let's work on that.
Okay.
So we also like the name of this tune. It's called Limburger Cheese.
Well, we're going to sing another one for you. This one is a tune that Kitty Wells did back in the day. Kitty Wells was a pretty big deal in country music back in the 50s.
Yeah, she paved the way for a lot of artists to follow.
That's right.
Yeah.
She had a big hit. It Wasn't God Who Made Honky Tonk Angels in 1952. And she was the first woman to have a single reach #1 on the country music charts. And it was there for 8 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. But we're not going to do that one.
No. We're going to do one you've never heard before.
Good segue, April. This is another one she did. Sonny James actually wrote this one. And we just found it recently. And I listened to, I grew up with a lot of that music, as Cody said. So I've listened to a lot of it and still do. So I'm always really excited when I found one I haven't heard that I really, really love. And that's this one. And I hate the title. It's called I Was Wrong. One, two, one. I was wrong. I dreamed about you all through the night. I was in love with you the moment that you came into sight. I hesitate to tell that I held you in my arms oh so long. And in my mind, I made you mine. I was wrong. I was wrong, oh my darling. Will this dream of mine come true? I was wrong, what is your answer? For you know I am true blue. Why do you wait and hesitate? I've waited for you for so long. Hear my request and answer yes, I was wrong. I was wrong. I dreamed that you and I were truly wed. The organ played, the choir sang. I know just what that preacher said. I kissed your lips, and in return I felt you hold me oh so strong. New life begun, for we were one. I was wrong. I was wrong, oh my darling. Will this dream of mine come true? I was wrong, what is your answer? For you know I am true blue. Why do you wait and hesitate? I've waited for you for so long. Hear my request and answer yes, I was wrong. hear my request and answer yes, I was wrong.
I got a tune number.
Okay. I knew he was going to hit that chord at the end. Cody loves to hit that chord. That's what that little smile was about. So we're going to play another fiddle and banjo duet for you. This one is called Kitchen Girl, and there's a few versions of this tune out there. Our version comes from Henry Reed, who was a Virginia fiddle player, and a lot of his tunes wouldn't be known of or his playing if it weren't for a gentleman from Florida by the name of Alan Jabor. And Alan was a trained classical violinist, but also played fiddle. And he actually was the founding director of the American Folklife Center for the Library of Congress. And so he documented Henry Reed's tunes and got to know him and learned exactly how he bowed and had his style down. And at the same fiddle camp where I met Chirps and Dot, I got to meet Alan. And he was a true gentleman and so passionate about fiddle music and, of course, about Henry's tunes. And so we were excited to find this version of Kitchen Girl because we knew a couple of others, but this one quickly became our favorite. And so we thought we'd try it for you tonight. It's an A modal tune, in case you want to hum along. Well, we're going to play one and sing one that I wrote a while back now. You never are sure where songs are going to come to you. Sometimes I find I'm often inspired by people and places, or when I write tunes for special occasions, that kind of thing. But this one came from eavesdropping on an airplane. And that's how it started anyway. And then I think I ended up taking it a little bit further into my own life. But it seems like a good one to pull out again at this time in all of our lives where we're waiting on things and missing people and missing things. It's called Worth the Wait. It's a long time between now and then. I'm already counting days till when. It's not easy, but it's worth the wait for love this great. I've been trying to be the best I can. It seems I'm best, babe, when you're holding my hand. That's why I'm counting my lucky stars for this love of ours. Feel like dancing, feel like making hay, because your love, it shines, shining on me every day. And soon we'll harvest the good things we've sown, this love we've grown. Doesn't matter, might go wrong, you'll still be there, even if I take too long. Because you love me the way I love you, these things are true. It's a long time between now and then. I'm already counting the days till when. It's not easy, but it's worth the wait for love this great. I feel like dancing, I feel like making hay, because your love, it shines, it's shining on me every day. And soon we'll harvest the good things we've sown, this love we've grown. Well, we have a tune for you next from a Nebraska fiddler, and it's got a great title. It's called Jimmy in the Swamp. I don't know if Jimmy was a human or an animal. You can make up your own story as you listen.
For some reason, I see an alligator, but they don't have those here. Ready?
I think we forgot to tell you his name, the Nebraska fiddler. His name was Bob Walters.
Yeah. No
And-
relation to me.
Yeah, Cody's last name is Walters. So when we figured that out, I said we should make up a story about it, how it's his great uncle or
Old
something.
Uncle Bob.
We thought that might be taking it a little bit too far. So we're going to sing another song by Bob King, the Ottawa Valley songwriter that also wrote Let's Make a Fair Trade. Bob King actually got his start in the Valley, but then traveled around a bit. He backed up several different artists, and he made his way to Wheeling, West Virginia. And he was on the Wheeling, West Virginia Jamboree, WWVA, and got homesick and decided to head back home. And he had another job there on the radio, and he was known as Mr. Sunshine because he was always so happy on the radio, and he was well known for that. But this isn't one of his happier songs. It's about missing someone, it was his first hit. He was age 20, and he had a hit with this on RCA Records. And so we're going to give it a go. It's called Laura Lee. As I watch the pale moon rising and the purple sun go down, and I sat beneath our favorite willow tree, I couldn't keep from crying as I sat alone that night. I'm so lonesome now, you're gone, my Laura Lee. Oh, Laura Lee, if you'd come back for a while, Laura Lee, how I miss your tender smile. I'll never stand this life now, you're not here to share my dreams. I'm so lonesome now, you're gone, my Laura Lee. I just can't keep from thinking of the times we've had up here, and we'd share our love beneath our favorite tree, and we'd look out o'er the valley and be happy as could be. I'm so lonesome now, you're gone, my Laura Lee. Oh, Laura Lee, how I miss your tender smile. Laura Lee, if you'd come back for a while. I'll never stand this life now, you're not here to share my dreams. I'm so lonesome now, you're gone, my Laura Lee. I'm so lonesome now, you're gone, my Laura Lee. Thank you. I sang in the chorus, it's I miss your tender smile, and then the next line is if you'll come back for a while, and I sang the wrong line first. And when that happens, it really throws you for a loop. And I was like, I don't know what I wasn't supposed to sing that line, but I figured it out in the nick of time. Whew, escaped. Yeah. I was like, could I make up a rhyme? You always go the extra mile. So we've got a couple more tunes for you. I should have mentioned it earlier, but you've probably figured it out by now that instead of doing 2 sets with an intermission, we were asked to do 1 long set tonight. And so we hope that you're doing okay. If you have to get up and come back, that's okay. We understand. We're going to play a great tune from the Maritimes. This one was written by a fiddler by the name of Ivan Hicks, and he's from New Brunswick. And he's a member of the North American Fiddle Hall of Fame. Him and his wife, Vivian, who plays piano, have done a lot for our Canadian traditional music. And in fact, they actually built a part of their home is sort of like a concert hall. And so when bus tours go through the Maritimes, they can stop at the Hickses and go in and get a concert. It's really neat. So if you're ever headed to the Maritimes, make sure you visit Ivan and Vivian. And my dad has always loved this tune. It's called Shingle the Roof.
Okay, I can see why your dad likes that one. This next tune we're going to do is a waltz, in case you want to dance. It was written by a banjo player named Tony Ellis. He's from Sylva, North Carolina. And when he was young, I think it was in the 1952 or 3, he heard Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs play. And he bought a banjo that year. And he was playing for Bill Monroe 8 years later. 2 years after that, he was on the stage at Carnegie Hall with Mac Wiseman. So he picked her up pretty quick.
Yeah, he was really good.
His name is Tony Ellis.
Tony Ellis, yeah, and he played other instruments as well. But we mentioned John Hartford earlier, and the waltz that I wrote for him. And Tony wrote this waltz for John Hartford. There's been a lot of musicians paying tribute to him since he passed away. So this one's called Dancing on the Clouds. you. Well, before we play our last set of tunes, we want to say thank you so much for being here tonight. We really, really appreciate you coming out, and to everybody watching at home as well. Thanks again to Billy Estes. We also want to give a great big shout out to Jeff and Brian, who are up there doing sound and lights and video, making all of the technical things happen without any problem. And that's our favorite thing in the world. So give them a big hand, please. And a big shout out to the volunteers tonight as well, here at the theater. Because we've traveled through several states in a couple of days to get here, we've decided to forego our favorite part of the show, which is coming out to the lobby to say hey. But we do have a couple of CDs out there, and an instructional dance DVD if you're learning some steps is what you're wanting to leave with, and a fiddle tune book. So there's someone out there to help you. Our website is aprilverch.com. We're on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And so because we aren't getting to meet you, if you use any of those things, we'd love to hear from you. So just drop us a note. We'd love that a whole lot. Yeah, I can't believe it's the end of the show already.
It's a pretty good first one back.
Everybody else is sitting there going, yeah, there was no intermission. We can't believe it either. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We'll leave you with a few Canadian tunes. These are the kind of tunes that I grew up with.